Good evening, folks. My name is Remington Constable, and I'm going to be doing a vector rendering for you in Photoshop CS5. Yes, I realize it's 2015 and I'm still using CS5, but it's got everything you need, nothing you don't. So let's see. I got a 51 Studebaker here, most of one. I met these guys over at the car show in Pleasanton, and they're going to be doing some custom work to this, and what I do is complete the project visually while they're still building it. So this is how we're going to do it. I've got my block set up over here. Layers is how I set mine up. History helps, use that a little bit. The actions I'm going to use a lot. I'm going to be using a lot of these. You can set up your own actions to quick key things. I use a Mac and set up a lot of these things just to be hot buttons on here. When I press F5, it does this for me. When I press F6, is my subtract selections. Saves you a lot of clicks. A lot of clicks. And when you're trying to get these done fast and effectively, it's all the difference in the world. It can save you a couple hours. So it really is worth it to set up these selections. I'm going to have a different video for how to create these, but on this video I'm going to just stick to the setup. Okay, so got a basic single layer here. Let's start by double clicking the main layer. Let's go OK. Makes that workable. And I'm going to make a couple new layers to start off. Let's see. So let's make a background layer, just white. Alright, so the background's white. Let's go on this layer and let's turn the opacity down on this to, I don't know, 50 or so. Now, what I'm going to do before I do this, I took this picture with my camera, so it already has a little bit of fisheye to it. All cameras on phones and most personal cameras have fisheye on them, but I'd like to get a more dramatic feel for this sketch I'm going to be doing. So we're going to go to filters, and then I'm going to go, wait, first you got to highlight this. I'm going to go to filters and pull down, and I'm going to go to distort, and I'm going to go to spherize, and this will bring up this for you. So the spherize is going to give even more fisheye, or negative fisheye if you like, which you don't ever want to do. You want it to be pressing forward out at you. It gives a much closer feel of the vehicle, like you're standing right next to it. That is what you want. I'm going to give it a little bit more, so watch this. It's running a little slow. Yeah, there we go. Now you're standing right next to it. So, just to give you a difference. Subtle change. I only took it up 15% on the spherize. So start with something like that. I like the way that looks, a little more dramatic. So let's see. First overall start here is I'm going to make some paths. So I'm going to use the pen tool. Pen tool is my most used tool, I dare say. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this guy out of the background, basically. Lots and lots of practice with the pen tool will start to get you better, but it's a little bit of a pain to. A lot of people are resistant to using the pen tool because it's like, oh, I have to draw out every single curve on here. Well, that's how you get perfect curves. The hard way. It's still the easy way, but don't get lazy. So I'm going to straighten these out. as much as I can on this first run through. Oh, you know what I should do while we're starting here is check the size of this thing, because I bet it's off. Alright, I'm going to go to the image. Oops. I'm going to go to the image, and I'm going to pull down for image size. If you're doing a rendering, you might as well do it high resolution, that way that you'll be able to have finer brush gradients. It's really what you want, to get a finer quality at the end. Most time your phone is going to set you at 72 and have a ridiculous overall size. It's weird. So it's 45 inches wide. This is the picture straight off my phone. So we're at 23 megabytes. We want to get this to 300 and probably say somewhere around 23, 30 megabytes. So let's take this down to, I don't know, 17. I like to do a lot of stuff on 11 by 17. It's still pretty big. Let's go down to so it'll be a little bit bigger. And just take it to 12. Okay. So now we're blown up to the right size. I'm going to save this. Shift Command S. Save it as something else. Yeah. And we're going to call this 51 Studi. This thing is running extra slow. I'm going to have to time-lapse this thing. Okay, there we go. So back over to the path. To P takes you to the pen tool when everything's working right. Come on. Where's my mouse? There we go. Okay, let's get in there. So you can click the end of it and it'll reconnect. I'm going to just follow the exterior body line on this. So for doing curves like this, my best technique I found. What in the hell? Doing curves like this, the best technique I've found. For doing curves like this, the best technique I found is you want to put your dots outside of the curve, not on it, and then you can connect like so. Every curve will be different, I promise you that. You can, when you get to an edge, fast way to do this is you hit the Alt or Option button, and that'll kill your other arm on there, and you can start a new one. You get a sharp corner. Big corners like this, outside corners, you can land it on the edge or on the apex of the curve. So that was not bad. Same thing, hold the Alt button. You can manipulate one arm at a time. This guy, hard corner there. Alright, this has got a little inward bow, outward bow, and then, I'm not gonna lie, it takes time to, you might think, where should I put the dot? Just keep working it. Anytime you don't add arms to one of these things, it doesn't What is it? Oh, don't do that. No, don't do that. Okay. So you, little guy. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, yeah, same thing. Press the Alt button. Let's check that corner up. Okay, now we're back on track. And if you don't hit it perfect, that's fine. You can always come back and fix it before the end of it. But the silhouette is going to be very important. You're going to use it for a lot of different types of masks. So make sure your silhouette is pretty on point. What's going on here? Some big curvature. A lot of times for the outside curvature, you're going to find where the highest tension is, and it'll be on the outside there. So fewer dots, the better. Also, the least that you can do, you make more simple shapes is always better. Than anytime you start adding more and more dots, it creates more spots for kinks and problems with the curve. Oops. Let's see, it's trying to fool me here. Let's move this guy up around the corner. That looks pretty close. Okay. Some curves are more complicated than others. I hit A, and it takes me back to the selection tool for path tool. See how that one's, that's how you bring that edge right down. Alright, and then back along the edge. This is gonna change once I put a hood on this thing. But for now, you can kind of get an idea. I found some other Studebakers, same year. See how it's in a similar angle, and that's how that hood line's going to come off of there. And it's probably going to meet up closer to there from this angle. Yep, you can see where this line, get your big nose out here, so this thing's going to be kind of high. Okay. So really this line's going to connect all the way down to here, I would say. So really, back in here, I'd say just roughly we're going to be connecting, touching down on it somewhere in here. And we'll see how right I am later. But for now, that's a spot we can always fix later if it needs to be. But let's just get back to this. I'll tighten it up. See, when you come to this thing, this curve hits the brakes. Let's try to smooth that out. This is all going to get the trim later. So we just do the main bodies. And you see how this kink, it's really not doing anything for me right now, so let's just get rid of it. Let me work this guy. For some reason that's pointing up. Don't know. But let's bring that in. Let's bring this in. Actually, it does need another curve. See, the curve is too complicated, really, so sometimes you do need that extra spot in there. And what you do is come back to your pen tool, and it'll bring up a plus sign on there as you're doing it, as you go over the line. Tighten that up, This still comes out. That needs to come in. And sometimes you just need to play with it until you get that correct curve. Just like that. Alright. And let's finish it off here. Missing a lot of stuff right now. This is all going to be grill and bumper, so let's just save ourselves some time and bring it all the way across. Oh, nope. Let's try to start a new one. So you got to come back, and when it makes that little pivot point button, click on it, and that should reactivate our curve. There he is. Coming into a tight corner. Inside curves. So what do? You do them on the past the apexes. That way you get a nice smooth corner through the tight part of the curve, like that. You don't want to have a notch in there or a point in there somewhere else. It just doesn't look right. It's not very smooth. So let's bring this around. This is kind of unnecessary here, but hey, alright. Now we got this whole area capped off. Alright. Now it's getting exciting. Okay, so now that we got this work path going, let's double click the work path. I'll bring up this menu for you. Let's just call it Silhouette. Alright, so save that on there. Now, easiest way to make a selection is you just hit Command, or I think on Windows it's Control or something like that, but the Command or the Apple button, and it'll bring up that, and you can, without doing any extra stuff, you can just click it right on the path and it'll make that. So now I got the whole exterior selected. Let's go to layers. Let's go Shift Command I. This gives you your inverse. And then let's say, actually no, let's just fill it in right now. Just give me a medium. Give me a medium gray. That's always a good place to start. Just like primer. That's how you want to start with this car. So we'll fill that in. Let's go a little lighter. Okay. Deselect, Control D. Alright, so we got the main exterior now for the car. And basically I start with the big stuff and work my way down to the smaller stuff. So let's do the glass. I saw from the picture there's a point in this. This photo doesn't do much for me, but this one shows it. There's a little razorback, not really, but a little spine that comes down the center, follows that line. So the apex should be right here in the middle. So let's give it just a tiny one, tiny edge like that, and so that'll keep a tight corner. See this on the inside corners? We do it outside, just before and after the curve itself. That way, get a nice clean curve through the curve. And we'll get all this cleaned up later. What's going to be done with the trim, that's going to be other layers. But from there to there, there to there. You know that point's going to be up here, so there's your apex. Let's do a tiny curvature because it's not a corner, it's just a round. Man, it looks like the glass comes all the way out. What does the trim look like on this thing? It's got a interior chrome piece. That's what that's going to be. Okay, so let's just follow the inside line then. You see how that roof's got a little wiggle to that line? The actual photo. This is the stuff you get to do with Photoshop. We're going to clean up the face of this old car. Any little imperfections, I'm doing them right now. I get a nice wash of clean lines, clean curves. Reconnect it. Ooh, that looks good right there. This does need a little curvature because it's actually, this line is too flat right now. If you have a flat line, it starts to look negative. So that's because this guy's pointing down. You see that? That's better. You can come out a little bit. You can come over a little bit too. A lot of eyeballing. If it doesn't look right, it's not right. It doesn't matter if you're following or tracing or whatever you're doing. If something doesn't look right, it's because it's not. So that should be showing up in our work paths right there. Yep, sure is. Continuing on, let's do this. Interior of the glass. Okay, let's start here. Now, I know this seems very painstaking, but once you've got all these sections completely roped off, you've got all the custom masks that you need. I'm going to get that little negative curve there, and then shorten this guy back down to nothing. Scoot him over. This has got a flat here in the middle of this curve, so let's observe that. Show. Hit A. Let's go back in and clean this little spot up. This should really be more like so. And this a little more like so. And that's pretty close. That's real close. Yeah. Okay. Yes, it's painstaking. We're going to go through every place on here and make a clean line. See what happens when you don't have that outside. Try to put the notch in the curve. Doesn't make it as pretty. I'm cheating a little bit, but this is only like a half curve. Alright. Let's hit Alt button. Kill off the back arm. Bingo. Whoops. Alt button. Click it. There it goes. Killed the arm. There we go. Corner. Corner. No. See that? That doesn't look right. Let's go fix that. What's wrong here? This guy's out of whack. There we go. Coming around the corner clean. Like so. Oh yeah. Okay, now we're in there. Exterior glass. Let's save that. Come on, double click that. Okay, glass. Alright. So now that we got the glass, what can you do with that? Boom, selections. Perfect masks already ready to go. You'll be able to do more with this drawing by the time you're done because you've set the whole thing up the right way. So let's just make it black. Also, if you press the D button, that gives you automatic black and white on your color, so you don't have to go back and choose black and white. You just press the D button. So what I like to do is make a new layer for the glass, and I'm going to fill it in with a little black. Just get an idea what we're doing. Now, I'm going to give you a suggestion here for how I set up my drawings. if you right click in this box around the eye, you can change the color. This will actually save you time later, being more organized. So anything relating to the glass, I put it green. That should make sense to some of you. Okay, so glass is green. I'm not going to label this one because I can see what it is. But my shadows and things like that, I give them the gray. Anything to do with chrome, I give it the blue. And usually wheels and tires to make it orange. This is my color code. You can make your own. But let's see. Now, let's get some wheels going on here. Next one. Let's get those saved. Doing a new path. Now, this is where your perspective training starts to come into play. These lines are all in perspective. So, let's make a line to set up what our perspective is doing. And how you can do that is use some lines that are already in place. See, I'm just following that line. So this is a true perspective line for, well, maybe not. It's probably close because this thing's suspension is kind of out of whack. But let's see. Okay, here's a point you can use. Oops. New path. That point and that point. Those are running perfect into perspective. The very bottom center of the wheel. You can't change that point by suspension. So let's take this one right here, and just so I keep it so you don't screw up that angle that's already got, I'm going to enlarge it. So I'm going to hold shift so that it keeps the same exact angle. Right? Just a longer line. Right? And whoops, see what happens when you don't? Yeah, okay. Grab the whole thing. You can hold the Apple button. Nope. It only works for objects. Alright, see that line should still be exactly the same. And it is. But now it's just longer. So, with that line, you can hold Apple and the Option, Alt, and you can make a copy of that. Alright, move it up. You say, well, that doesn't look right. That's because it's not right. This is where your perspective box starts coming in. This line should be coming in. It should be closer at the front than the back, right? Thing is disappearing into perspective. I'm going to kind of use the top of this fender as the next point on here. So how does that perspective look? See, this thing looks out of whack. Yep. Really should be more like this is down at that point, so let's see. This takes eyeballing to have perspective training. How fast this is tapering, that's a little bit slower. This is still going up. I'm just going to change this one. Let's go back to A. Let's take this off so we can see what we're doing. That's kind of what your perspective's doing right there. But anyway, what I'm getting at is all about making this wheel ellipse the correct way. Let's see where, let's get this line going across the center there. And this one should be going across the center of the back wheel. You can't see it very well, but we're going to say it's, as long as you're tapering at the right speed, it's all going to be fine. So, got that coming across there. This is where our wheel is going to be, our ellipse. So let's go to the shape tool, which is, that's not it, that's not it. Oh, yeah, I got it. Shape tool. And got it on ellipses right now. So We'll see what this does. I'm going to throw one out that's roughly the right size. And then I'm going to go back to A, selection tool. So it's a little big for what it is right now. See now where the center line is on this? See how that line is going to come right across the center of where this line is? Alright, let's take a closer look. Look closelier. Okay, this thing's got major problems. Okay, it needs to open up. And then this is the trick. This is the $1 million trick. Alright, you see where these points are? These are called the major axis. In an ellipse, you've got 4 axes. These are the 2 minors, because they're the small ones. These are the 2 majors. Watch this. We're going to put the minors, is really what it's going to do. Actually, that's not right. What it's going to do is this circle's going to go back into perspective. Well, that's not right at all. Tell you what we'll do. We're going to start with a circle. All right? Now, okay. Still see those major and minor axes right here, 1 and 2. What we really want is those to be on the line. This thing is way too high. That's part of the problem. Okay. So you see, I'm gonna make just a circle here to start. The way that this is shaped, you got your perspective lines going here. These lines, top and bottom, are gonna follow those same perspective lines. So we're gonna take, I got the whole shape selected right now. I'm gonna hit the Alt button and I'm gonna, come on. Got the whole thing. There we go. Okay. Click the center to, now it's in edit mode. Now I can hold the Alt button. Alright, let's get some perspective going on this guy. These are gonna follow the lines, and then we should be able to squish. Let's put the very bottom right there on the bottom. See, that's what I'm looking at right now, is touching that point to that point. And now I got that, let's bring the whole thing up. Scoot them over. Widen them back out. Hey, look at that. Circle in perspective. Does that look correct? Feels like it's leaning out a little bit. So even though, let's give it a little lean in then. That looks better. And then, since we're doing a sketch, let's blow it up the wheel just a little bit. Still feel like it's leaning left. I want to fill up that wheel well. Let's make it a tiny bit bigger. Okay. Good. No, it's still not good. There we go. Turn these rulers back on. What does a vertical line look like? See that? The thing is leaning to the right. Let's move this that way. I was doing that by holding the Apple button, which is your skew but command on there. Okay, so that's all good. Hit return. There you go. Bingo boom bo. Circle in perspective. Now that you got that one, those are important. Let's get rid of these. Really won't need it again. Okay, so we've got, wow, I'm at 40 minutes for just setting this up, huh? Okay, now that we've got this path on here, let's double click it, hang on to it, and let's give it its own layer. Let's get this ruler out of here. Okay, now you got this on here. Let's do this. We're going to go grab the outside, Command Alt should give you that with the little plus sign. Grab a second one of these, just pull it off, hold those down and pull it off to the side. Alright, let's scooch that over. This is going to be my interior wall. We'll scoot him in and then shrink him down because he is too big right now. Come on. Then give me, hold shift so you don't lose that shape of that ellipse. Okay. So there's their deep dish wall is what I'm looking at right here. That's what I'm creating. Okay, now you got that. Let's make another one. Same thing. Let's get him down closer. Okay. I was looking at making the notch on there, so which is still going to be smaller. Shrink this guy down. Bring him down into his spot. Okay. Now, while I got you there, let's go back to this outside one and let's make the tire. So, bring another one out. Go back to that one and let's grow this. Big tire. Alright, well that's just the lip around the, that's going to be the lip for the tire. Tuck that lip in. And one more. This will be the very edge of the tire. The visible edge anyway. Alright, so and you see how I held shift on all that, so maintain the same shape. These are all fairly close. Looks like you probably thin up the tire on the bottom because of the weight of the car, so it's always thinner on the bottom, obviously. And that's all looking pretty good. So this will be your wheel. Alright. I actually have a tire that I already have loaded. Doing the same technique. I'm going to see if we can cheat. Oh, here we go. Gotta make sure it's set. We're driving. I gotta rasterize this thing. I've got it set up for a quick command, but normally you'd click and rasterize. Right click, rasterize. Okay, this thing facing the wrong way. This is a tire I made, same idea. There's the lip. There's the exterior of the tire, and then the body. The body's a little bit different, but let's flip it the other way. Now I made this tire to save me time. I'm making a lot of tires, and it takes a lot of time if you gotta redo it every time. So let's bring that down. Overall height there. This thing is leaning the wrong way, as you can see. But we will fix that. Looking closer? I think so. Alright. Okay, that's like so. Let's widen this thing up a little bit. I mean, can't do that yet. Okay, so now that it's there, let's hit return. And let's give it that perspective. A little more. you're going to have to tweak it in there a little bit. But overall, pretty darn close. See that? Oh yeah. Line me up. Let's bring this edge just a touch. Like so. I like it. Hit return. Zoom out. Now see, I've got this section on here. See, this is still kind of weird. It's very weird actually. So what we're going to do is take this one and I'm going to go select it, inverse it, and delete that piece right there. This piece. That's better. Okay. Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, I color code mine tires with orange. Okay, so I'm going to put a lock on that too, just so it can get off. Alright, and what the heck is this? Oh, that's that black layer I made. I may need it, but I don't need it now. Okay. Alright, so we've got our main start on here. If you want to add a shadow, you can do that too. It's already got a nice one going on here. There's going to be quite a bit of stuff, the unknown factors on here. But let's give it a basic shadow. Not this. I don't know what the heck's going on there. About something like okay. Oh, see, this is on the wheel one, so to fix that, what we can do, just select this thing, just that piece of the selection, and I'm going to go Control X, cut it out, and then Control V, whoops, it doesn't automatically make you one, you got to make a new layer, and then Control V. This will be your shadow. Okay, so select shadow, hit G. It's going to take me to gradient. I don't have a layer selected, or I have a lock layer. Let's go new, black. Underneath it, this is going to be related to shadows. That's going to help a lot later. And deselect. How are we looking so far? See? Basic setup. Already got it. A start. And it's taken 50 minutes. Here. Let's move on to the next section. Let's turn these off for now. You don't need any of this stuff. It's just going to get in your way. We're still making more parts and pieces. All right. So, where do we want to start here? About this body line. This one, all the way up to the front. Here's the top of the tension, right there. Try to make this in as few lines as possible, so all the way to the front. Bring that way in. Okay, that's kind of what it's doing there. Let's take that line and we can rope it off. Now, what I can do now, I don't have to, I'm trying to isolate this section here. Now, I don't have to do it by retracing the bottom. I can just take it around the outside since we've already traced the bottom on our other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, Control X, and on your paths, I like to put this on the exterior one because that's what I'm going to be using it together with. So you see now I got that section roped off. You can go. Now, once it has more than one thing going on like that on the paths, you can go to hit A and get your path selection tool, and you can just select one at a time. And this is where I was saying in my actions I have this set up so I have this in one button that I have a subtract on here. So when I highlight this one, or just click anywhere on this little guy, and then I press my F6 that I have it set up, bingo, takes that section off. So that's subtract. Now if I wanted to go back to this one, highlight it again, F5. Now, I set these up, I never use them. How does that work? Let's see. So that one, so my intersect should be Apple Shift F6, intersect. Look at that. Apple Shift. I gotta remember those. My add and intersect. I use select and subtract the most, but these ones are what that saved you from doing. I'll show you what this saves. In order to do that, what I just did, you would have to do this. Right click, make selection, new selection. That's how you select that. So this first one saves you those 3 clicks. The second one, or let's just say the intersect one, 3 clicks to get to that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So may not seem like much, but when you do it 200-300 times in a drawing, and I'm taking it from 8 clicks down to 1 click, highlight, 2 clicks, button. A little bit faster. So now that I got that, let's do that real quick again, one more time. Highlight, intersect. Now that I got that, let's go back and back to on a G. We're gonna make a section on here. So I'm gonna go to my gradient, Shift G. Let's get a gradient going on there. Since this is my shadow side already, since I've got a shadow cast from that side, so my light source is over here. This will be my shadow side. We can add a shadow here. or at least the start of one, just to give you an idea. You probably want to be perpendicular to this line, I would think, in order to get this gradient to lay flat across here. See how that did it? A little smaller one, just to give it some more at the bottom. You gonna do it for me? There it is. Just the end of it. Yeah, there we go. And again, relating to shadows, I put it in gray. That way, I don't have to name everything, but this helps me quite a bit. See, we're starting to look like a Studebaker yet? Well, we got all the main parts cracking on here. So, let's go back to now you want to do this the fast way or the right way? I'll show you the fast way. This tire, let's make a copy of it, which is the same buttons as making a copy with the path. You hold Command, see that? Or I'm sorry, it's the Alt button. That's how you make copies of things like that. So this made an extra copy of it. Let's shrinky dink them down. It's in the back, so I swear this thing feels like it's leaning. It's because it is. That's not right. Control R, look, my ruler's back on. Why is this thing leaning? Your major axes should be up and down. I think it's weird. See what happens when you cut corners? You end up having to do it again. Okay, that looks better. Now let's make a copy of him. He's standing up a bit more vertical. Okay, now let's shrink his overall ellipse degree, and then let's shrink him down like so. It's going to sit back in that fender like so. It's pretty close. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to just hit the 5 button, and that'll take me down to 50% opacity. You don't have to do opacity changes over here. See, I can hit 7. Whoa, come on. If I press 7, see, I'm not going to click 6, 5. That's just by pressing the number button. That's automatically does that. So let's turn it up down to 50. I can see what I'm doing underneath it. Whenever you feel like dragging. Thank you. Alright, tire copy. Whoa, easy there, Turbo. Let's turn this guy back up so I can see what's going on with that wheel. Come on. Take him back up to 90. Tire copy. Man, this thing's running slow. And it's doing that weird grab thing. Don't do that. Come on. Okay. Hit F. Give me a full screen. And then you can slide off the edge without having to. Okay. See what he's doing in there? This guy's far too wide still. This is just the face of the tire. There we go. Okay, that'll work at least as a placeholder right now. But it will be under. Let's turn the opacity, just hit 0. We'll take it back up to 100. And there's your shadow that we mocked in. Here's our body we mocked in. And here's our glass we've mocked in so far. And it's on its way.